All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name's Kathy Swiderski, and today we're going to do the financial health and wealth class for the Greensboro Fire Department. Here's my phone number, and if you need any help after the class, you can text me your name and station, and I can come by and help you out if you have any more questions. So we're going to learn about how to read your paycheck, what's the Orbit account, what is your ICMA account, your Prudential account. Does anybody in here having a Prudential account? One person, and that's because he's the youngest one in the classroom as far as time on. What is important to Social Security for me and for you? What is a Roth IRA and maintaining your beneficiary is what we're going to talk about. So, I want everybody to get on Telestaff unless you already know what your hourly wage is. You can get it from Telestaff. My info, profile scroll down to the page till you see advance, and then look for your hourly wage. Yep. And just kind of put it on a piece of paper somewhere. So I give you guys time to log into Telestaff. A lot of people don't know what their hourly wage is, and when people say, well, I didn't get paid the right way, or my hire back wasn't enough money or something, this way you can make sure you know what your hourly wage is. While you're doing that, I'm going to start talking about the paycheck, and then that way you guys. So when you look at your paycheck on the left-hand side, you're going to see your hire back information. You know how much your salary is. It'll be the first line. And that's going to be important. We're going to get to that in a minute. And then you get your overtime is 0.5. For when you work a hire back, you get your 24 hours, and then the half pay will be in the overtime 0.5. Same with your holiday, you'll get 0.5 on that. And then we always get paid life insurance every once in a while. And also when you work a full cycle will go into your overtime 0.5, and you get paid for that. So working a full cycle is really worth it, especially if you're doing a hire back, or like me, my last year, I'm not taking any time off, so for me, it's like an extra $1,200 not to break a cycle for the whole year. In your middle box on your paycheck, this is before taxes. So you're not paying taxes on any of this. Your 457 money, your dental insurance, your hospital insurance. Remember, hospital insurance here is pre-taxed. I had long-term disability in case I got hurt and couldn't work, and your pension money. So your 457, I don't know if you guys know this, but like when I get a hire back or I know the money's coming, I go into ICMA and I up my percentage so that I can try to hide some of my money. And you can do that, sometimes you might guess wrong. One of the guys guessed wrong, and he says, I put way too much money in my ICMA. But I said, it's only one paycheck, so don't worry about it. And your pension, how much money goes into your pension every paycheck? Anybody know? 6%. Every paycheck, 6% goes into your pension. No matter if you get hire backs or holidays or whatever you get, it's 6%. I thought your 457 would work the same way when you got your hire back money, that it would be a percentage of your hire back, but it's the percentage off the first line on your paycheck, which is called regular, 86.67. So that's how much goes into your ICMA account, is whatever you use, 86.67 total amount.
Hey, Kelly.
Yes.
Everybody's struggling to find the advanced.
Okay. Did everybody find it now?
Everybody good with the sound?
You got Telestaff in here?
Yeah.
A widget, Telestaff widget.
More, and then go to profile.
Ah.
Should be on your phone.
I have to.
With the Telestaff?
Oh, there.
Profile? Yeah, Telestaff to find your salary, your hourly wage.
Not just
I didn't
yet.
log into the computer.
You have to scroll all the way down.
I can show you where it is on your phone.
Yeah,
Oh,
you gotta
okay.
scroll all the way down.
Yeah, you gotta scroll.
Profiles?
Yeah.
Right, go back that way.
Down all the way.
I know,
It just
it's
kind
not
of gives
all
you
the
an
way down.
idea. I never knew where my how much money I was making an hour.
Oh, there you go.
One day I found it, so by asking people.
Nowhere near.
And the reason that I want you to know that is when we get into the Orbit account, we're gonna figure out a lot of stuff differently. So this way you can see the difference.
It's way in. Scroll. Yeah. Yeah. Mine was 10 grand.
Is everybody good on that?
Yes, ma'am.
What I make from here, but that's my average.
Okay, I just wanted to, and while we're waiting for some of the other ones to catch up, if you know what your yearly salary is, you need to write that down on a piece of paper too. Your yearly salary should be, you know, maybe 35,000 or,
That's the minimum.
well, I'm trying to start low. You will need to know that. Everybody good now? This guy's Speedy Gonzalez, so I was going by him. So on your paychecks on the right side, after taxes, is when you give to United Way or charity, or if you put money into the credit union or to another bank account, your fire dues, your fire 2% for everybody retiring. I get mine in 2021. And does everybody know what this North Carolina pension fund is? Does everybody know why it's on your paycheck?
No. We all in?
That's your $5 every paycheck. And when we go into Orbit, I will explain it further. But it's $5 that you pay. And after you work 20 years, you don't have to pay it anymore. And when you turn 55, you get to collect $170 a month. So being that I did 20 years and I'm 55, I've already been getting mine for 5 years, $170. I took it and just put it in a savings account because you never know when a rainy day will hit. And I've got quite a bit of money in there. So
And that's one of them that they don't take taxes, and you're responsible for taxes at the end of the year.
correct.
Correct.
So the question was, or the answer was, that you get a check for $170, and then at the end of the year, you get to file your taxes on it. But you still got the $170, so. Another thing that we get is the city of Greensboro taxpayers give us a little check after we retire. The fire department decided to let the retirees get the money. So every 3 months, once you retire, you're going to get a little check. I think right now it's going for $200. So that's an extra $800 a year that we get for when we retire.
Who's that come from? Who's that come from?
I believe that was called the Fireman's Fund, Relief Fund, something like that.
Yeah, Fireman's Fund, that's what Penny said. So you get that too.
Is that the one where we have like Trex and Hood sit on the board of it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that is all we've got for right now. We're going to start with your annual, no, we're going to start with sick time. So everybody look at your paycheck and look at your sick time. This is when you got to start doing some math. So you're going to take your sick time hours that you have today, just to make it simple, and you're going to divide it by 8.
I'm sorry, I got that.
Take your sick hours that you have, or if you might, you know, if you're getting ready to retire, you know you're going to have some more, but it's 8 hours a month is what we accumulate. You're going to take your sick hours, divide them by 8. Does anybody have over 1776 hours? Good, awesome. That means you can leave early. 1776 is 222 days. Remember that, friend. I'm just trying to get you an idea of why we're going to do this in a minute. I'm just trying to get you to run your numbers now.
Repeat that, what'd you say?
Okay, so I'm just giving you a situation. 1776 is 222 days. But if you have more than that, what we do is when you divide the number, Captain, how many do you have?
2967,
Okay, divided by 8.
370.
So he's got 370. So he falls in here in the 19 months that he gets to turn into his Orbit account. Okay? So, since he's so close to the 380, Does everybody know that people say, oh, I gotta take 5 sick days? I get 5 sick days or 8 sick days or something like that when you retire. Well, with him, he's gonna have to take a couple sick days when he leaves, or he works enough to get to 381 or 382. I was able to leave with, very close to him, I had 17 months. So I was 321. So it gave me another whole month and no sick days. And I'll take the extra month of pay than to have sick days. But if anybody wants to kind of look at this, we can pass it around the room.
Did you create that chart or is that available?
That is from retirement classes.
Okay.
So I can pass it around just to kind of see where you fall in, of how many months. Like if you're thinking about leaving early, the reason that I was able to leave is I qualified. Get this.
So in your example there,
Yes.
what was the range for month?
361 to 380 gives you 19 months.
Alright, so if I'm at 370, that mean I got 9 sick days?
No, I'm not gonna, you can talk to Michelle about that. I'm not good at calculating that. I'm just using it as an example. Now, Michelle is the bomb when it comes to the orbit account. I'm just giving you the basics because when you go to see Michelle, I want you to know what you're up against, that you're not getting deer in the headlights look like. I went to the class and the retirement class that the city gives, which is awesome. If anybody's thinking about doing that, it's very, very good. But what happens is half the class never even opened up their orbit account when they went to retire. That they had no idea how much money they were going to get or anything. They were just going to leave. They had their 30 years and they were going to leave. So by preparing ahead of time before you see Michelle, you know you got 48 months that you have to, you want your highest 48 months. She can tell you all that. She runs the numbers. I just want people to learn the basics on how to get in here and how to run some numbers. So how do you qualify to retire? 3 ways only. I'm leaving because I've got 60 years, I'm 60 years old and 25 years of service. Really, I'm only doing 24 years and I got a year and a half of sick. So that qualifies me for, on the medical side, of 25 years. You can leave at any age as long as you have 30 years in. And how you can get your 30 years, it doesn't matter. You can do, 29 years and 1 year of sick time. The only other way you can retire is being 65 and 5 years. I think we have a recruit coming in, and he's over 50 now. So as long as he gets 5 more years and he gets 65, he could leave at that time. But your money in your orbit account goes way down.
What was the first one you said?
The first one is 60 and 25 years. 30 full years and 65 with 5. You can also leave early retirement if you wanted to, and you're going to take a huge cut. But if something comes up and you have to leave, it's 50 years old with 20 years and 60 years old with 5 years. And that's a big, you'll see the reduced when we get into the orbit account. And your annual retirement benefit is based on this formula. If everybody wants to write this down, I probably should have made a slide for it, but I didn't. 1.85% of your average final compensation.
Repeat, please.
1.85% of your average final compensation times your years and months of credible service. I'll send this around so you guys can write it down, because that's a lot, and I should have probably made a slide.
If you go to her class, will you get that paper?
This is, I got this from the retirement class from the city.
Oh.
Here, I'll pass it around, if you guys want to see it.
That's in
I got
the
it.
service. That's in the order.
Oh, okay.
Service.
Okay.
That's on city HR.
I know, but I just, sometimes,
Years and months is the total number of months?
okay. So everybody's got their sick time, right?
Full year in this machine.
Everybody's got their sick time figured out. Now, you're gonna take your holiday pay and your vacation pay and add those 2 together.
Holiday hours.
Yeah, your hours, take your holiday and your vacation. When you get that number. Now, this is when your annual salary, you need your annual salary. So, could be 35,000, could be 50,000. Does everybody know what your annual salary is? We're gonna take your annual salary and divide it by 2080. What happens is, because we're on the line, they figure out our final compensation on the Orbit account by, the way they get the 2080 is the average number of hours per year that normal employees work. 40-hour work week times 52. So that's where we get the 2080 from. All right? Has everybody got that? So now what we're going to do is take your holiday and your vacation hours and multiply them by whatever you just got when you did your yearly salary into 2080, or divided by 2080. See how your hourly salary that we make right now is lower than your final compensation. That's why I wanted you to know what your hourly rate was, because I was always figuring mine on my hourly rate, saying, man, I'm not gonna, you know, it just was low when I heard all these people getting these big, huge final paychecks. And I was like, why is mine so low, you know? Well, I was figuring it out on the wrong amount of hours.
Annual salary divided by 2080, and then multiply.
Multiply that times your holiday and vacation hours. And just keep those off to the side, and we're going to get to them in a minute. Has everybody got that? And then also in that same area that you're doing those numbers, put down your bonus pay. If you guys get bonuses, anybody that gets the longevity bonus, write that number down too.
Separate, you said.
Yeah, you should have 3 numbers now. You should have your sick hours, you should have your vacation and holiday money, and then have your longevity bonus. I know some people in the room don't get it, but we're gonna work on your ICMA and get that up higher. Right, Trav?
Yes,
Okay, if everybody can log into your Orbit account. If you can't, just, for people that haven't been on, or people that maybe you got 15 years, you're gonna assume that I'm gonna make an extra $5,000 or $10,000 before I retire. If before you log into Orbit, you go to this retirement benefit, if everybody wants to do this just to play real quick, this little box right here is for people that, you know, are 15 years or less, kind of, but it really helps you to see how much, like say, I'm gonna make $50,000 when I retire. You're gonna plug in these numbers. I'm just trying to let him do it because he's
So is this
younger.
your pension?
This is your pension money. The Orbit account is pension, so if I say Orbit or pension, it's all the same thing.
All right.
It's your 6%. But if you want to go into this one and just see, you can do that, because for the younger guys, this is gonna, like, you know, I'm gonna make driver, a driver makes over 50,000. If you want to use 50,000 as a baseline, at least you can see how much your monthly salary will be at that rate. And that will motivate you to want to move up the corporate ladder of success. Well, you don't, on this one, you don't have to log in. This part right here, you don't have to log in. There's your login. I'm just showing this for people that might want to see, because they don't have a lot of time on. And that will help you out. Right, Trav? Gives you a different idea. I've been helping Travis a lot when I got hired back out at his station, so we've been talking back and forth. Okay, so for those of you that need to log in, go ahead and log in, and we'll start plugging in some numbers and teaching you some stuff. You're having a hard time still?
I just keep going to the screen.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I've never seen that before.
That's your my orbit. That's my orbit.
Yeah. I think you gotta have NC, Orbit NC.
Yeah, he does.
Go by the little sheet of paper that you gave me. Is everybody in there? Can you go to the main page of the Orbit once you log in?
Mount Walker's retirement.
That's it, you're on it, but go to the, oh, you're, okay, if you plug those numbers in, you can just plug numbers in right there.
Yeah, but I was already logged in.
Oh, okay.
Why did it send me to that page?
I don't know. There it is, that's where I want you, stay right there.
All right. This one?
Yeah, stay right, oh, did you just move? You just moved off of that page I wanted you, yeah, stay right there now, don't move off of that page. I might grab your computer and teach people.
This, I don't know what size it is.
Okay, so once you log in, oh, we're not gonna be, okay, I wanted to make sure what I had on the picture. Okay. A couple of you still are.
Once you send a security code, knowledge.
I'm on this page.
Okay, well, I need you to back up one. Okay. So, if you're on the page, you're gonna see 2 retirement accounts. Mine's already closed. But it says, active membership, the Elders account, which is local government employees retirement plan, should have more years of service than the other one that says Firefighter Rescue Squad. The Firefighter Rescue Squad is your North Carolina pension fund, the little $5, so that should be a little bit lower. So when you go in to look at them,
That's a lot higher.
yeah, so
Volunteer.
so you might be getting close to, you know,
I am on that one.
so when you're 20 years, they're gonna close that account and you start accepting your $170 a month.
Once you turn
Check
50
that.
up.
Yeah, and make sure that if you, that you're paying into it, because make sure that's on your paycheck, because we've had problems where somebody got cut off and they hadn't paid for it for 5 years, and now they're trying to play catch up. But luckily, the person has 10 more years, so they can still just do $5, so. But that first one is called Firefighters Rescue Squad, that's your 170. The other one, everybody calls it Elders. I don't call it Elders, I call it Orbit, but when you go to the city, retirement classes, everything's Elders because we're local government. So click on that button, the local government one.
Yeah, you have to sign up. It's there for a login.
Yeah, you don't have to go there, I want you to go here. Oh, okay. Click on that. Okay. If you look at the bottom of the screen, there's a little circle button about how much they pay you and how much you get, like your base pay and retirement and all that. And that's not, I mean, that's a good picture of what you're going to get from them, but we're going to get more than that when we retire. So look to the left-hand side of that. You're going to look down the left-hand side, and the first thing we're going to do is look at maintain beneficiaries. Please make sure that you have your beneficiaries in there. And if you don't, you might want to add them. Because if there's nobody in there, when you die, however much money your 6% went in there, you're probably not going to get, or your family probably won't get. So make sure. Another thing in there is you can put a contingency in there. You might want to think about a contingency if you have kids, but don't put your kids' names in there. You got to have like the trust of or the...
Or unless they're over 18, right?
Over 18, you can have them in there, yes. But what if you and your wife are out on a date and you get in a car wreck and you're both gone? And the only person you have is your wife on here. So think about having contingencies, but please make sure you have benefits, that you have your beneficiaries in there, okay? Work on that.
Or you can do, like, if you can with life insurance, if you have multiple children
Yeah,
divided,
yes.
or you just put them all in and they would divide it.
I put down in the trust of or in my will, so, because mine's all going to my nieces, so, my nieces and nephews, so I just have it in my trust fund. So, on the first screen, on the top, it will say, it says, principal and contingent. So the principal is the one that we're gonna be using when we start to do all this math here. Okay, so we're going to go up to the left-hand side of the page now, and it says View Benefit Estimate. Come on in. Yeah, hit that View Benefit Estimate, and if some people aren't old enough, it's going to give you a nice big red box. That's why it's so important to look at the front of the computer where it says that you can do it, because you guys don't have enough time. So you can work on your own. But we're going to go down. Do you see how much money you're making? Kind of take those first two numbers. Okay, once you catch up. Okay, once you catch up. And you'll see how the first number is if you have to leave early. So look at that first one, it's first reduced. You can see what year you could collect that if you had to leave early.
Where is that under?
It's under View Benefit Estimate.
Right.
Okay, you should have two things. The top one. Okay, scroll. Keep scrolling. See, that first one is, sorry. First one, you scroll down, is how much you would make if you had to leave early, like the 20 years. Okay? The second one is, write that number down on the second one. The first line is if you don't want to give any money to anybody, you can take that money.
But that's 30 years.
That's for 30 years. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I would've made that.
Yeah, that's fine. But that's why I'm just trying to teach you.
So mine would be more like the first one.
Well, how many years are you going to try to do?
I'm gonna try to do 25.
Okay, well, I'll show you how, we're going to do that in just a second. This is just giving you an idea of, once we plug in these numbers, like if you go to Michelle's class this weekend or the next weekend, she's going to go more involved, and I'm just giving you a quick fix.
I'll be 60 at 25.
Okay, you're just like me. Okay, all right, so what we're going to do is go down here to the Retirement Benefit Estimate. It should be on the left-hand side of your screen. It says Create Custom Benefit. And open that up. You see the little one that has a little dot on it? Go down to the other one. Go to that other one right there. Hit that dot. Yes, hit that dot. You want to be on that little dot. It's the second one down.
Calculate benefit using.
Create custom benefit. Create custom benefit. You hit that. Scroll. Get out of that one and hit that one. Okay? All right. So, is everybody good on that? Okay. You are good. This is where it's going to help you. Yep, you're on a little dot. Okay. So now, where it says, you got to start filling all this stuff in. So when do you think you're going to leave? Like a lot of people are leaving January 31st of 2019. So if you're going to leave, just think of when you're going to leave, when you might get your 25 years in, what's your goals. Your retirement date is going to be February 1st. Is the first.
Termination date?
Retirement date would be February 1st.
No matter when you retire?
Yeah, just you figure it out for yourself.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, you know when your 30 years are or your 25 years are. Yeah.
So if it's February 2nd.
No, it has to. You have to do. You can't go on the 2nd. You either have to work the whole month.
30 years start, so it'd be March 1st would be my retirement date?
Yes, and your termination date would be February 28th in the year.
Does this one ask for beneficiaries? If you're right.
What about the time I get home? I don't know.
You're right there on it. You're right there on it. Okay, let me catch you up. You're gonna hit eligibility.
Screw this, after lunch I'm out. It's my code day. I got Botswana soup for lunch.
There you go. Now you're gonna start filling out, you're gonna start filling all that information out. Is everybody kind of caught up on that?
Okay.
Okay.
Termination.
What's your time?
Termination.
So my 30 years is up to the second, so my termination date will be the 28th.
No, you got it backwards. February goes.
So,
Yep. And
So
then
retirement date is that month?
01/31.
Whatever you want to, it's going to be February.
Termination date
every year.
The month before, so like October, your termination date
Yes.
is September.
Yes.
So it's the day
And
before.
then your termination date will be the end
February.
of February.
Yeah, you said 30th February, so you're gonna
And
leave
then the
March
year
of
is February
23.
was-
And then put 2/28. And another thing, like, when you go to Michelle, she's gonna teach you, well, you know, if you stay till January, you're gonna get paid for the holidays, for Thanksgiving and Christmas, the 2 in January, so you'll get all that money and you add that into your holidays. So, even though you're saying, I wanna leave at this point, you might wanna stay because it could be, to me, she told me, why do you wanna leave in October? I said, because that's when I go on vacation and that's when I want to leave. She says, well, you're going to lose out on $50 a month for the rest of your life. And I said, I'll do 3 hardbacks or 4 hardbacks, whatever it took to get over that $50. And luckily, God blessed me. He gave me extras. So I made up the 50. So I can't get any now, but we're in a huge storm and I still can't get one. But I'm just giving you guys ideas. I'm just trying to make it light. But you know, it's where's your money at? Where's your life at? This is what this class is about, is where are you? Is your house paid off? Is your car paid off? That's what this is going to tell you. So, if you got all that, we're going to scroll down. Type of membership. The type of membership is presently in service. You got to figure out your beneficiaries, date of birth, and her name, or his name, or whoever. Please don't have your children because your Orbit account is going to go way down. Way, way down.
what can I make?
Then give somebody, you have to have somebody. But have it somebody that's older. Have it somebody that's older.
I mean, my son's grown.
If he's over 18, but what it's going to do is the Orbit account is saying, I've got to pay this benefit out for their life,
It's based on their age.
their age.
So the younger they are, the lower the survivor benefits will be.
That means the lower that you're going to get paid.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, so this is stuff to think about, and who you want to have in there. But for today, just put down who you have. And if you don't have anybody, you might not be able to,
If I put Rich, I ought to be able to get a lot of money.
or you might want to put me down. I'm probably
I
going
ain't the
before him.
oldest person in this room.
You ain't 2 years older than me.
I think I'm the oldest, so.
Don't
So-
look this way, ask on the side of it. and
I said right here, I'll take it.
You better keep living, you'll get old. Hey, tell me, when you are the blessed, you better.
I was down, okay, now we're good.
Right.
I was on the wrong screen.
Service status.
Yes, presently in service. You gotta do the drop-down box, hit that drop-down box, presently in service. Put your beneficiary name, their birth date. Everybody at that point, you are so fast. Okay, now, accumulated sick days, plug that number in.
That's what we divided.
Decimal and all that.
Just, it should be like 222 days, or 1776 is 222, baby.
The beneficiary.
All right?
Use your kids when you live. How you feel, Mom?
That's a good, no, that's a good idea. Okay, so, now, the estimated annual leave payout. The one that you divided by 2080, multiplied your annual and your holidays, and plug that number into where it says estimated annual leave payout. That's where you're gonna get your big check. And like what I'm gonna do with my big check is I'm putting it all in my 457, so that I'm not gonna pay taxes on it.
What number did you say?
What number did you say? Estimated annual leave payout is what?
So we do all that.
Good job.
When you took your holiday and
Okay.
annual
Yeah, holiday and
$8,
annual.
multiplied it times your
It
hours.
should be probably between 5, 6, 7,000, somewhere in there, maybe less, maybe more. And your estimated bonus payout is that our longevity check.
So that ain't,
That goes into your estimated bonus payout. Take your longevity check that you just got paid and put that in there, into your estimated bonus payout. Honey, I don't know, there's a calculator right there.
I'm sorry.
Annual and your holiday. Oh, no, this is your, how much money you make total for the year. So it might be 50,000, 60. Take that, divide it by 28.
Your one-time,
Our longevity payout, whatever you want to call it.
one-time, what?
Yes. Yeah. And I think, I don't think it's gonna, I think they'll continue, because every year it's less and less people, and all the big wigs that got the 7% aren't getting that.
Days, right? You take the sick hours, the same, but you take the sick hours and divide by 8, and that'll give you the days.
Right, yeah, you can put those in up here, that says sick leave. And so if you have 1 year, it's 222 days, if you have a year of sick leave. So you can just put, no, we're not gonna do that. We'll talk about Social Security and how it's gonna hurt everybody. Okay, so everybody done with that?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hit the calculate button for everybody else that's done. Yes, put that in there.
Right here?
Yes, right there. So that's where everybody says I get a big, huge paycheck at the end. Because that annual and holiday payout, that's what you're gonna get. So you need to decide what are you gonna do with that money. Are you gonna take the 26% hit from the government and have to take half of that money? Or are you going
It
to
says 51,000.
put it in your 457 or put some of it into the 457? What happened? But you have to go to the front page and you can start to play with the front page.
How do you get the annual, accumulated sick days?
Take your sick time and divide it by 8.
Okay.
Okay, so everybody has a nice big chunk of money, right?
This is what we're talking about right here?
Yeah, you see that? I can,
Here you go.
where are mine? Oh, right here. I wear funny ones so I can find them easy. Yes.
That much?
No, right here. Maximum allowance.
That's what we get every month.
That's what you're gonna get every month. But the next line down is when you're gonna give it to your other half. Well, because you need to think, if you die and you have young kids, do you want to leave your wife any money? If not, then take the full amount and she can raise the kids on her own. I mean, whatever you want to do, that's up to you.
They want to be buried with all that.
Okay, now, everybody has their amount that they need?
The salary divided by the
I might go back to work.
We're not going to do anything in that. Yeah, so this goes to the next. So this is where I'm going to burst everybody's bubble. So everybody thinks they're going to get over 2,500 or 3,000 or 4,000. Okay?
The annual leave payout, that was the salary divided by 28.
2080 with your annual and your holiday money. Take your annual and your holiday and add them together.
And divide that.
Annual and holiday divided by 28. Well, no, you don't. Your annual and holiday, you can't, remember when you get your annual salary?
Yeah.
Annual salary. Right, that's an amount, an hourly amount, times that by your holiday and annual.
That's what I got.
Yeah. Okay. So now to burst your bubble, everybody's got that amount. Here's your medical, and this is why a lot of people get really frustrated. If you're by yourself, These are the amounts of money that you're gonna have to be paying out. Now, this is 2018, this is the money for 2018. So, everybody thinks, oh, I'll just live on my pension. Do you think y'all can make it when you're paying that?
If I don't have no health insurance,
If you don't want health insurance,
I'm good.
you gotta, so this is why you wanna have an ICMA account and your Prudential. Or your Prudential, and your Prudential. But this is, I forgot to teach this to the class yesterday, so I just saw everybody's eyeballs just freak out. But that's one thing you gotta think about. You know, you'll,
What, George still paying money?
Yeah, ain't no doubt. If it wasn't for insurance, my ass would've been gone when Randy left.
but see, that's why it's so important to know this information, so you can start to figure. Now, to burst your bubble even more, guess what happens at 65 years old?
Cut off.
You are cut off. You go on Medicare. That's why on our paychecks, where the taxes are, it says med tax on there. Med FICA. Med FICA was put on the fire department because back before 1982, nobody paid into Social Security, so when you got dropped from the city at 65, you had no medical coverage. You couldn't get on Medicare. So they started doing the Med FICA so that at least from Social Security, you're gonna get Medicare. So three months before or 3 months after you turn 65, you must sign up for Medicare. If you don't, you get penalized 10% every single year until you decide to get on it or not get on it. One guy, when I was in the class, he said his father's very healthy. His father never wanted to be on Medicare and pay that $134 a month to be covered. And so now his is up to $780. He's got to pay a month. And then, you know, and it still doesn't cover a lot of stuff. But like for me, when I turn 65, I'm going to get a huge raise.
Is this like medical and dental, or is that?
This is just your medical. The dental's like...
Here's what I can tell you, I didn't really pay attention this year. Wally retired 2 years ago.
Okay.
When he retired, his was $700. So his insurance went up $248 a month in 2 years.
Yeah, that's why I say this is 2018. So,
Yeah. Oh, and here's another thing,
Okay.
I don't know if you
No, go
covered
ahead.
before. I don't know if you have the number on.
I don't have the
How many of you are gonna have that right there where you gotta retire, carry you and your spouse? How much older are you than your spouse? When you come off, that goes up. You think, well, one person came off, it should go down. It goes up because she never worked for the city.
right. Just a lot to think about when you go to retire about your mental health. That's why a lot of people are staying. Okay, another thing about the insurance is, like he said, the dental, I didn't put the prices up there, but I think it's like $40 for a single person and $72 or something like that for, and make sure you keep that dental. You never know down the road if you're gonna have a problem. Is everybody good with the Orbit account and bursting your bubble and all that kind of stuff about how much money you're gonna get a month?
If it wasn't for those numbers there,
That was all my information disappeared.
Oh, well,
It just-
just text me and I can come over to the station one day. After October, after I come back from vacation, I'll be available on B shift, so.
Keep 2% out of my paycheck to come to the station.
Okay, so let's log into ICMA. So this is why ICMA and the Prudential accounts are very important, because you need to know what you're in. You need to know how to make some money. You need to know if you want to be a safe person and play it safe in the markets. You can't sleep at night if you're in high risk. But let me tell you this while you guys are logging in. I'm going to read you this little story here about compound interest. Compound interest is an extremely powerful force that allows investors to earn larger gains on their money over time. So again, the money you save now is worth a lot more than the money you save later. So compound interest, if you invest $1,000 today and you're earning 5%, you're gonna earn $50 on it for the first year. But the second year, you're gonna have $1,050, so the following year, you're gonna make $100 for 5%. So that's what compound interest is. So just remember, the earlier you put in, the more money you make. And yes,
This is a question that I've been asked before.
okay.
And people will say, financial advisor or retirement folks say, well, how much money do you want to live off of?
Correct.
How the hell do you know?
You don't know, but you shoot for the moon. See what you get.
I mean, they say, what do you want? 500,000, a million, 100,000?
Okay, so if you have 500,000, you have to know how much is that gonna make for me a year? Is it gonna make 1%? I'm gonna play it safe, I'm gonna be risky and might lose it? So it's all in, and then what they do is they put you into funds that are gonna like be safe.
So did you use them managing it for you?
No, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so I just want to tell you about dollar cost averaging. How much to save to be a millionaire by the age of 65, you young bucks that are in this room? So, if you're 16 years old, or say you got on the department at 18, and you said, for the first 5 years, first 6 years, I'm going to put as much as I can in, 15, 20%. I got one guy that did that. He was 19 when he came on, and he's doing almost 20%. I told him he's single. Well, he's married now. But I told him that by the time he's 65, because he's doing so good, he's going to have over $1 million. And that's only if you save, well, this example is from 60 to 21, and then the person quit, that you would have $1 million. It's putting $2,000 a year in. But I know we can do a lot more than $2,000 a year. I mean, you get a lot of paychecks and you put it in every month. We just got a 7.5% raise. I begged people to put 1 or 2% of that 7.5 raise in it. And, you know, I don't know if you did or if you didn't, but.
No. At the same time, if you're older, you say, well, I'll just pick up when I'm a little bit older. I got a little more money. And you try to put much more money into it, you will never catch up.
No,
you will never be able to catch up. So the younger you start putting that money in, the better off you are because of dollar cost averaging and because of time. Time is your friend when you're trying to make money for the long term.
Like when I went to Station 10, I had a guy on my crew at the time, probably been on about 3 years. He wasn't even in before 50.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to make sure everybody's, at least do 2%.
That's right. You got to match and get the money, the free money.
Says I need to put in 23%.
Yes, sir. You can do it. You can do it.
No way.
If you do a little bit every year, you won't. You know. I mean, you just have to try to do it. I mean.
Quit going to them concerts.
Don't go into that vending machine. Don't go out to dinner. I might go out to dinner once a month because I have a goal. Everybody's goals are different though. If you want to live on $1,000 a month, or do you want to live on $4,000 a month when you retire, or do you want to live life now and go to the beach? I mean, it's all in what you want to do with your life. So, ICMA, here's some really important things about making sure you have the right beneficiary. And we're going to look at the beneficiaries in a minute. But on an ICMA account, you do not want your children on there. If they're under age 18. An adult has to oversee the account. So you have to either, if you're going to put your kids on there, you have a uniform transfer to Minors Act on there, or stipulate who the guardian is to oversee the funds, or designate a trust. So I do a trust on mine. If you die and you have your wife on there, she doesn't have to take the money out. She can wait until she's 70 and a half, or all different kind of combinations. But if you put down anybody else other than your spouse, the IRS loves you. Because they must withdraw 100% of the assets within 5 years of your account. So remember that they are paying all that tax. If you die and they're trying to live on it, they only have 5 years to get it out of there. Or they can take a required minimum distribution over the tax advantage growth, so they just can do it that way. But one of the two ways if you die. So that's where you gotta really think about your beneficiaries and what you wanna do. And so, on the left-hand side of your page, wait, let me make sure everybody's logged in. Okay, stay right there for now. Okay, good. What we're gonna do is on the left side of the page, we have two accounts. We have your 457 account and your 401. If everybody can make sure you're in, which one are you in, Captain?
The 457.
Okay, so let's go to your 457 account, which it should be a lot more money. If you're putting, go to your 457 on the, you're gonna go 457, hit select an option, go view account. So on the left-hand side, when you go in there and you hit view account, look at maintain beneficiaries, or view beneficiaries on this one down there. Sorry about this. Having a hard time getting in. Down on the left, view beneficiaries. On the left, keep going. Who do you have in there? Make sure you have somebody. If you have your son, you might want to think twice,
So you said,
unless he's over 18. Oh, okay, then you're good. You can have your son in there.
So if I got my wife as the primary and my son as the contingent, I want to delete my son off.
I would probably, I think there's a spot in there that you can say, to check your will or your trust or whatever you have set up for him.
I'm just deleting his ass out.
Say what?
No. Yeah, you can give him shit.
Well, your wife's gonna take care of him, I hope.
I'm 40, I'll cut the check.
That means, they're
I'll
gonna
tell you
change
what I
our
did.
funds again.
I put my brother
So,
in the
in
wheel.
August
I haven't
they
made mine.
changed all of our funds. We're not
So-
in that part. They changed all of
Yeah,
our
it'll,
funds.
if you have
You need
a
to
third
do that.
party, that's all.
Okay, so now what I want you to do is to go to the top of the page, and you're gonna see a little blue line and it says access my accounts. Go to the drop down bar and hit 401. And let's make sure you have beneficiaries in your 401. Some people forget to check both of those.
I can see, she should be in there, but I
I
can't see
think
her.
if you switch it, go to lengthwise, see if it comes up that way. Make sure you got your beneficiaries. You good? Okay.
Bishop, you want this?
Aren't you?
Okay, now what we're gonna
A
do
couple times.
is look on that blue side of the screen. Look at your blue side. The top one says contributions. Everybody check your contributions. Let's see how much you're putting in. Go to the 457, go back to the 457, because the 401, the city gives you 3%. If you put, no, the city gives you 3.25%. If you put 2% in, they give you another quarter, 1.75%. So you're up to 5 from the city and 2 on yours, if you do the minimum.
What's on the 457?
You want to be on the
I
457.
mean, what do they give?
The 457 is whatever you want to give.
I mean, don't they match up to some?
They give you 5, but that's on the 401k money.
So
The
if you
401k
give 2%, they give 5%.
Yeah, in the 401, which should be 5% as long as everybody's giving. So my man's doing good here. Good job. Keep it up. Every 6 months, go up 1%. Yeah, click in there. Click 457. View account. View account. Okay, now, get. Oh, okay, go to the left side. And see how much you're putting in, okay? Anyways, that's where you can change your contributions.
Where do we
It says,
change it?
if you want to change it up, change my contribution amount to the right side of the screen, and you can raise it up, you can play with it, you can put more money in.
Now, this one of them illusion things where the city said they was giving us something, but they really didn't. It just, where now all you gotta do is put in 1.75 to get their 5.
No, you have to put 2 in.
Okay, down.
That's not what I learned in the class the other day. I mean, a couple months ago, but.
They made it sound like they was giving you an extra quarter of a
Yeah.
percent, when really all they done was say, well, you gotta put a 0.25% less to get this.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. Okay, so that's where you can change your contributions and add them and delete them. You know, like you want to play the higher bet game like I do, you can try that. Now, what we're going to do is go down to that next box that says manage funds. And what we're going to do, if you want to be in the managed funds account, I'm not telling you not to be in, but make sure if you're going to have them manage your accounts that you know what you're in. Know what your stomach is telling you when you lay your head down on the pillow at night. If you're in a very safe managed account and you're making 1 or 2% and that's what you want to make, then that's fine. I've had a lot of people that are in the managed account making 1 or 2% and they said, I want to be aggressive. So if you're not aggressive and you want to be aggressive, you need to call them up and talk to them and tell them that you want to be aggressive. But they do a fine job. If it's something that you don't want to learn about, you know, but here's their fees. This is how much it costs. I'm going to send it around the room. So you're going to pay this annual fee. If you want to look at that, it's down here in the bottom right-hand corner. It tells you how much all the fees cost to be in those accounts that you're paying for. So everybody hit that managed account button. If you have a red line, that means they're doing your account for you. If you don't have a red line, that means you're managing your account yourself. And if you're having them manage it, you're probably only averaging 1 or 2% right now. If you're doing it yourself, you should be making 8 to 10%.
How do I switch and do this?
How do you know what to put it in?
Well, that's what I'm going to teach you. But you know, it's what I tell people, if you want to do it yourself, play with your 401. That's usually the cheaper amount. Well, for some people that aren't on yet, their 401 might be. But you know, I played with it for a while, and this is how I learned everything. I'm going to teach you what to look at. Okay, so now we're going to go back on the blue side, and you're going to go down to investments. Okay? This is where you learn. When you go onto that blue button, hit investment. Down, down, down. Okay, hit investments. Wyatt Langley and I were playing with this when we were both stationed at 43 together. And this is where we learned a lot. So here on this compare funds, the compare fund one, you can put in right here where it says add funds. You can say, oh, I want to see how the contra fund is doing, or the American funds, or you can plug those in, and it gives you your little graph. Remember, you got to take the highs with the lows. But that just gives you a comparison. If you had $10,000, how does this compare to the day-to-day market? So now we're going to go in. I'm going to back up so you can see. We're going to go over here to View Fund Performance. Go back to your blue box again and look for View Fund Performance. Okay, so in here, this Vantage Point Plus Fund, that's where you're averaging your 2%. It's pretty steady. It's just like a glorified savings account. And then this is your bond fund. If you see things in parentheses, that's bad. That means you're losing money every month. But bonds are going to be bad when the stock market's really good. Bonds are a safe thing to have when you're 65 and 70 maybe, to have some money in those so that, you know, if the market does, you don't lose all your money.
Captain, how did you get there?
Okay. Do you have it up on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go down here. I can't see. Can you help me? Because I can't see. So that's those two funds. We're going to scroll down to, if you don't want to be in a managed fund, but you don't really want to do it yourself, you can go into these target retirement funds. What I tell people is don't go by the year that you're going to leave here. A lot of people leave in their 50s. You want to be in one of these accounts, probably down here, so that when you do retire, you're still making some money. I was in this 2010 fund until I found out I was dumb, blind. And look at how much that's making, 0.26%. Ooh, not even as good as a plus fund. I'm sure I've been out of it for quite a while, but I didn't know. I was like, oh, 2010, I want to be safe. Yeah, I wasn't going to make any money. But what they do is every 10 years, it starts off super aggressive. The next 10 years, it gets a little safer. And the next 10 years, it's a little safer. So that by the time you want to draw your money out, which is 60, 65, 70, I've talked to a lot of retirees, they've never even touched this money. They haven't even used it at all.
I concur with that.
They've never even touched this. But you know, when you get in your 70s like my parents and you gotta go in for all these surgeries and you gotta pay all your medicines because your medical bill is going up, and medicines are going up, that's when you can start to draw on this. I probably won't even touch this. Very important thing that Michelle said to make sure that I teach you guys about these accounts is when Obama was in office, that he took the 10% penalty off the table. If you needed the money when you retired, you don't have to, if you're not 59 and a half, if you retire between 50 and 59 and a half, and you need to take your money out, you don't have to pay that 10% anymore. But you still have to pay taxes on it. So, and you're going to be in probably a higher tax bracket until you start getting older. But a lot of people haven't touched this money. So if you don't want them to manage it, look at like 2050, 2055, whenever you're going to be 65 is what I kind of base it on. And then it's going to be safer, like the 2010 fund, the 2015. They're pretty safe now. They're probably all in bonds and savings accounts and stuff like that. Another thing I need to talk about is this expense ratio. Every month we get charged for every account that we're in. So if you're in a managed account, I bet you're probably in about 8 to 10 funds. Because this is where they make their monthly money out of you, plus the fee that they take for. And I'm not saying nothing bad about managed funds. I'm just saying, once you start to learn how much it's costing you, you might want to think a different way. So
what you're saying is maybe choose one of those instead?
Oh, I'm just giving you some. Yeah, you might want to, but do it. Don't do it for. I'm going to retire at 50 years old. You want to have it at least when you're 65. About 65 is what I base everything on. But anyways, so what happened was, I think the employees for the city said, we are not paying these high funds. Shoot, I don't think I have that. I'll see it on the next screen. So that's these. Let me go to the next screen and I'll show you. So this fund right here, this Times Square mid-cap, it's paying 1.18%. When I got hired, most of our stuff with the Robinsons was all the 1%. So you're losing out on probably $50,000 to $60,000 by the time you retire just by paying in the fees. So when we went to ICMA, the biggest thing was let's keep the fees really low. So I think it was 2 years ago, we got to go into all the Vanguard accounts, and you see what their percentage is, 0.04. The mid cap, 0.05, the small caps, 0.05. So that's how much you get charged every month to be in those accounts. Some of them are more expensive, but also they're going to work harder for you. So you might want to pay a little bit higher to get into some of these. So what I tell people when I have my little classes and I teach you what to look at is this Vantage Point equity income is just a little bit better than a savings account because it's income. It wants to make you a little bit of money and not have you lose it. Also, I always tell people to look at the inception date and see how old the accounts are. I like to have anything that's over 10 years. But as you see, they've switched us so many times that there's very few accounts that have been in business for over 10 years. But we have to be in these funds. The Invesco Diversified Dividend is a dividend. When I retire, I might say, instead of putting my dividend back into my account, just send me the check. And last year, this did really well. We were making a lot of money, but now because the stock market's doing so well, this is going to go down. And then they added this MFS, Massachusetts Investors. I was in that with the Robinsons, and I didn't understand the market, and I took my money out when it was at the lowest peak. So I lost a lot of money, but that's averaging 15.20 since inception. You got the Vanguard 500, which just follows the market. Whatever the market does, that's what this one's gonna do. Now, everybody know what a small cap is, a large cap, a medium cap? Okay, large caps. We're gonna use somebody's computer, since you got yours up and I can see it. Scroll down for a minute, and if you want to scroll along with us, I want you to right-click on American Funds Growth Fund.
What is that under?
Scroll.
Okay, so US stock.
Yep. And right-click on, I know you gotta right-click. And it should say open.
How you right click on this thing?
But this is where you can go in and you can look at these, you can see what they're involved in, you can see the names of the companies, what they're in. Okay, so you're gonna go over here, when it comes up, let me just show this to the class. It's gonna look like this. And there's a little blue thing here that says characteristics. So we're gonna hit that characteristics button. And on the right side of the screen, what are some of those companies? Can you read them out for us?
Amazon, Netflix, Microsoft, United Health Group, Facebook, Home Depot, Broadcom.
So those are large cap companies. So the American funds, the Fidelity Contra Fund, the Contra Fund, the American funds, and the BT Rowe Price are all very big growth funds. They're all large company stocks, or mutual funds, I should say. If you are in a managed account, you will not be in those funds. They usually don't do very well, but for the past 10 years, we've been in a big market and they've been making money. You can see the percentages of the three of these. That's for the year. That's what, for the year. This is what it's doing for the quarter. This is what it did last year. 24, 22, 22%.
So this list of
Mutual funds.
funds and stuff, this is not what you're in, this is what they offer you.
You can pick any of these if you want to manage it yourself.
Okay, but I'm saying, looking at my screen, before we clicked on that, was that stuff I'm in, or is that just what they offer?
No, this is all, these
What
are
they
all,
offer you.
this is everything that's offered to us.
Okay.
And from there, you can pick what you want, if you want to do it yourself, or if you want to manage it. But even when you're in a managed fund, at least know what you're in.
Right, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Now, these ones that you said that you're probably not going to be in if you're in a managed fund because of the high yield return?
Because they don't believe in large caps. Because they can take they're very volatile.
Right, so let's just say you said, the heck with it. Everything is giving me a return of over 10%, you can go in and select them yourself?
Yes, sir. But just remember, it can take a downturn and, you know.
I also remember right now, this market's been going straight up for 10 years.
Yes.
It's time for it to happen.
That's the longest in my working investing career that the market's been going up. Not saying something's gonna happen,
Right.
but it's good.
But if you want to, I mean, now that it's up so high, maybe you're saying, okay, let me take some of that out and put it in some safer funds because I'm getting ready to retire.
There was a big crash in '93, a big crash in '01, a big crash in '08 during my career.
Right. And '08 was a hard one.
For another.
And '08 was a really hard one, but if you stayed in, you tripled your money. If you stayed in. You gotta stay in. Don't sell when it's low, like I did. I learned my mistakes. That's why I'm teaching this class. I don't want people to have the same mistakes. Okay, so you're gonna see that you're probably in a lot of these mid-cap ones, because they're middle of the road. And if you wanted to find a mid-cap one, you can go back out, hit a mid-cap one, and you're probably not going to know the companies as much as you would on a large cap, because everybody knows, you know, Google and all that. And then the small caps are like startup businesses, like how Apple started in their garage. So they're riskier. These are going to be pretty risky, these small caps. And there's only the two that you can pick from. So this is a brand new one. This T Rowe Price, we just got into this March of 2016, and it's going out of this world. This is, some of the younger people are jumping in on this after they had their class. Me, because I'm getting ready to retire, I didn't want anything that was brand new, so I haven't gotten into that one. I'm not that risky right now, but I used to be. So that's those. That's all the mutual funds. Now, what we do is we go international. So we have 2 international ones. We used to have one called Templeton, and that was all international also. But what a lot of people were complaining about was we were too international, and they wanted, so ICMA decided to go into this American funds, which is 50% American, 50% international. And that's doing very well since it transferred over. The Fidelity Diversified is all international. But if you look in your managed accounts, if you're in a managed account and you told them that you want to be risky, you will be in both of those accounts. Because you've got a long time, and this is where you can make a lot of money if you have a long time. And then everybody, if you like real estate, right now this year, this is the best I've seen it in probably what, 6-7 years I think. This is the best. Now this is about a month old, but so that's where you're at, you know. Like if you, I listen to Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman and a couple other people, but what they say is to be diversified, which means have a small cap, have a mid cap, have a large cap, have some international stuff. You know, you don't want to have all your money in one basket unless you're going to be in those the target retirement ones, because you know, just because of the volatility. So when you go to the left-hand side of the screen again, you will see share prices. Share prices. So you can come in here and you can say, I wonder how this one is doing. Well, I'm in the contra fund. Oh, sorry. I'm in the contra fund. So one day I looked in it and I said, I wonder how it's doing. And it dropped down to $13.80. Whew. Well, what happened was it had made so much money that they decided to split. So that's what it was making. Or you had to pay to buy to get one share. It was $132. The Vanguard 500 costs $266 to buy one share. But these are your share prices as of September 6th. So every paycheck, if you have like 10% going here, 20%, 30%, that's how much you can see how it's making. Over the past year, this is what it's been doing, and for the past 12 months. It's called rolling because it's wherever we are, September to September. So that's what's rolling. So you can kind of see like what you want to be in, how it's doing, if you want to be risky, if you don't want to be risky. But that's how you do your share prices, and to learn what you're in and how you want to do stuff. Okay? Is there any questions on ICMA? Everybody good? If anybody wants help and wants to learn how to move your money, you can go to Managed Funds and you'll see some boxes. I know the captain is doing his own. Yes, sir. Yes. It's the percentage of it's the percentage of how much you're putting in. Like you can say, I want 10% into this fund. I want to buy. And this can also be how much money is individually, like out of 100. You have more into one account, so they just take that 100%. However, okay, so I can talk to you to class.
Okay. So, you know, and this is a question too for
Hey, Kat, 1 second, we got a question.
So you guys are the folks that are not in the managed account that ICMA is doing all the work for you. I mean, how often do you look at these? How often do you change it? I mean, how much time do you spend moving this around?
I try to look at my stuff minimum once a month.
Oh, yeah.
Minimum.
But I mean it every day.
Yeah, you know,
It's just something to look at for me, just to learn.
but I found, and I used to when I was heavily into stocks and all that, I mean, it consumed my life.
Yes.
and I had to get away from that. And one thing that hurt me in the past few years is after that hit in '08, from August of 2007 when ICMA took us over till March of 2009 when the market bottomed out, I lost 65%. I was a mad son of a bitch.
I remember those days.
Then it only took 2 years to get it all back. Well, based on the '93 crash, based on the '01 crash, it took 5, 6, 7 years. I said, man, we got it all back in 2 years. I'm getting it fixed. I can't take another hit. You know, if we come back that fast, it's got to go down at some point. Well, for the last 6 years, since I got it all in the fix, the market's doubled. It was at about 12,000 when I put all my stuff in the fix. I figure it's cost me $300 grand
Yeah.
to be in the fix the last 6 years.
Are you saying it's
So,
fixed?
yeah. I mean,
Because you have to be able to sleep at night, remember?
it's
You
been
gotta
going
sleep.
up for 10 years. And like I say, an average about every 8 is one of them big corrections has come during my working career. And so I'm scared to death to put money in the market right now. You know, now if you got 10 years or more left here, yeah, you gotta be. But at the time all that happened, I had possibly only 5 years left. And I seen what my dad went through. He retired around the crash of '01. I mean, that hit right around his retirement. And I was like, he left all his in the market. I said, I ain't gonna lose everything. I hadn't gained a whole lot, but I hadn't lost any.
No, I took a little bit different tack than Jordan. I looked at, yeah, I'm close to retirement, but based on what I'd seen from other firefighters and not having to touch that money at all, the 457, and the age that they were now touching it, 65 and beyond, well then, I can retire at 55, but it's going to be another 10 years before I will touch that money. So for me, I did not go fixed. I said, let it all ride. And so I've reached my goals, I've exceeded my goals that I've gotten into. Now, as I get a little closer past that, now, you know, look at getting to something more safer than that. But right now, I'm not planning on touching it. So me, I'm willing to take the risk.
And I'm just like, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Kathy helped me the last couple of years. She helped me do was do a percentage, figure out how much percentage I wanted to be risking. I was just telling him, in a short period of time, I think it was almost 4 months, that money went, $3,000 was added from a managed account to her showing me how to do it. So that's just another way to think about it. If you have a goal, you know, you could do just a certain percentage risky and let that money roll, man. It's turning over big right now.
Yeah.
It's all about how much risk you're willing to bear.
Can you put your
And
hand on the pillow?
if you're gonna roll in the stock market, that's what it's all about. How much money can you really afford to lose, and do you have time for it to come back?
Recoup it.
So for me, if I'm not planning on touching it for another 10 years, based on history, not just recent history, but the whole entire stock market, I have time.
And with that being said, I can give you an example. In 2012, and I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I had $125,000, and right now I've got more than double that.
That's what I'm saying, that's where I've lost.
Right, and you have to be able, I mean, like this year alone, I think I made almost $40,000.
Once I seen what my dad went through.
Right.
March of 2009, I'd been a captain for 6 years. I had put more money in my account since I'd been a captain than what I had. So that means it's like the first 16 years of my career was gone. Like I said, when that got back, and I was back to the break-even point.
Safe.
But you know, that's
Ain't gonna get me again.
right, and that's the thing that you have to, you know, can I take a hit? I think I remember when because I work at Lowe's and I had a lot of money, just like Enron. Remember what happened? Everybody had their retirements in Enron. So there's still some people right now at Lowe's that have 100% of their retirement going into
My
Lowe's.
dad was lucid.
Yeah.
That went from
Right.
100 to.
Especially in 2001, yeah.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's just, how can you feel? But like I did with Captain Reed, I said, how much are you willing to lose? Let's just see if that can make money. Just, you could tell me 10% or 20%. See if you can make money off of that. It's like my city money. I mean, I've been on for 25 years and I got $25,000. I mean, you know, it's pretty sad, you know, that you've been on for that long and you know, and I'm risky. I'm doing 100% into the contra fund right now just to try to make some money before I leave, because once I leave in October, I can't put any more money into it, so.
You said, when you say city, that's the 401.
Yes, sir. 401.
Well, one thing I want to thank you is that the time you came out to 21, and I still don't know anything about this, but you showed me how, looking at that 401, how I can move some of the stuff that I had that was doing well in 457 into that as well. And just from that time, I think it's been less than about around 6 months. It's already, I've collected about $5 grand off of that.
Right.
So,
It's just being able to, you know, recognize what is out there, and do you want to put the time into it? Do you want to learn what's on your engine? Do you want to know all your equipment on your engine? Do you want to learn how to have money to retire on? Right, Captain?
It does take time to learn about investing. It is
Yeah.
not a quick read of a book. It's getting into it and studying. But like Rich said, it can consume your life. And you don't want to get in there and do that day trading either. But investing is really about how much risk you're comfortable with. That's the bottom line.
Okay, so we're going to move along to the Prudential, which a lot of you guys aren't in. What they're doing with the younger people that are coming on board now is they're trying to get you into the Prudential account. Couple good things about it, and I forgot one thing with the 457. One very important thing is what a lot of people are doing when they retire is they're like, I don't want to name a company. A company comes up to you and says, hey man, you got all this money. Let me take it and I'm going to double it for you, okay? You've got to remember, once you take your money out of your 457, you are not allowed to touch that money until you're 59 and a half. So there was a situation that they used in my retirement class that I went to. A firefighter said, okay, I'll let you take my money. He gave it to them, all of it. Didn't keep any back. Gave it to him, and something drastically happened to that firefighter, and he had to get his money out. So not only did he have to pay the taxes on it, he had to pay the 10% penalty. So remember, from the 50 to 59 and a half, you have no penalty if once you retire and you pull it out, you don't have to pay that 10% penalty. If you take it and you put it into another company, it's 401k or something like that, you will pay that 10% penalty. And it's a lot. You can take 10% off of $300,000 and, you know, plus all the taxes is what, 26%, 27%. On that. But this Prudential account, there's a lady named Tammy Uzzell, Uzzell, and if you want to get into the Prudential account, they've got a very good Roth IRA. I'm very heavily into the Roth. I believe that that's more important than the ICMA. It's my philosophy, nobody else's. But a Roth you take in after taxes. You can take it out after 5 years. You can take out, like say you put $20,000 into it, there's $25,000 in it, you can take the whole $20,000 out, no questions asked. You just can't touch the interest that it made. But a good thing about a Roth is that it passes on generation to generation. So if you're looking to maybe you want to take care of your family after you're gone, you put the money in a Roth, you don't have to pay no taxes on it. It goes right to the next generation, and if they need it, they can take it out with no taxes. Everything else is taxed. But the Prudential does have a very good Roth IRA. I tell people that, to me, it's more important, so I try to have you do the match in your ICMA and then try to fully fund your Roth, which is $5,500 a year.
And that's the max you can put in.
Max you can put into a Roth, yeah, and you can go anywhere. You can go to Vanguard, you can go anywhere and put it in. But the Prudential is very good. A thing that the Prudential does is you can say, well, I know that my Orbit account is not going to be enough. Okay, I know that I got to pay all that medical. If you want, you can start I think it's the 401k, let me just check my 401k. This money that you put in here, you can also give to the state. I'm just saying what the options are, Chief. But you can, but you can give it to them, and they will say you're giving them $50,000. They'll do it for the life of your stuff, and they'll give you a separate check.
So what did you just say?
They-
They'll do it for how long?
No, I said I don't know, but
No, you said
Life of
the
your
life.
yeah, your life. So
Your life.
Your
If you
life.
miss that
It doesn't
money,
go.
Once you die, that money.
Right, right. So that's just another plan that's out there, just to give you some thought. But they do have a very good Roth IRA, and it makes pretty good money. So just something to think about. A lot of the younger guys that are coming on now are getting into this.
You can have more than one Roth too, right?
No, well, yeah, you can have more than one Roth. You can only do 5,500 total.
So you can stack them, because like,
You can, but then your,
A year,
your
like
dollar
a year.
cost averaging, you've got 500 in this one, 500 in this one, but if you had 1,000 in both, you're making a lot more money.
okay.
So 5,500, but once you turn 55, guess what? You can do 6,500.
I feel like you're getting ready to say something negative about the Vanguard IRA.
Oh, no.
So it would be beneficial to,
I guess we'll talk when the camera turns off.
No, what I wanted to say is I have a whole account. That's why I'm trying not to tell people what I got. That's all.
it would be beneficial at a younger age to put only enough to get what they'll match in your 457 and heavy into
The Roth.
Roth.
Yeah, only because I'm not gonna name names, but I had somebody approach me the other day, turned 70 and a half, and is very, very upset. Because at 70 and a half in your ICMA account, what happens? Mandatory withdrawals. And guess what? Most of it's all taxed.
Oh,
So when you take it out, you gotta pay all them taxes. In a Roth, you're 70 and a half, 80 and a half, 55, you can take it out, no taxes. So that, it's just another thing to think about. I know I'm gonna be paying taxes my whole entire life, but that's okay, I just donated it out to my schools. So, just putting it out there, just different things, so there's the credential. That's if you wanted to get in. So, make sure, I'm double checking with the beneficiaries. I know we went way over, so I'm sorry, but Social Security. Please try to log into this account if you can. Before it was a big thing to make sure you got your 10 years or your 40 quarters. Does anybody know why we've always been pushing 10 years and 40 quarters? Because firefighters didn't pay in to Medicare or the Social Security, but the FICA that we pay, is that what it says on your paycheck? So that's why they went and switched that. But Social Security is also, we get the little windfall tax. So, because we're firefighters and we also work another job and we pay into Social Security, we have to pay a tax. So if you can get 10 years into Social Security, then you will receive money. It might not be a lot. I had a retiree guy said, Kathy, I'm collecting my Social Security. I'm supposed to get $500, but I get $200 because he worked 10 years, 40 quarters. And he says, but it's $200 I wouldn't have had. So, what I'm trying to tell people is, I've worked for Lowe's my entire life, or 25 years. I've worked before that. I've got like 45 years into Social Security. I will get full Social Security at 30 years, as long as you have 30 years. And I checked somebody the other day that had Social Security, they had 29 years. And they said, I think I'm quitting, I'm not gonna work anymore. And I said, you're 1 year away from not having to pay the windfall tax. And that windfall tax can hurt you. And I told them, I said, please go back to work for 1 more year somewhere, paying in. But when you go into Social Security, it shows you how many years you've worked, how much you've paid in. If you get a full year, I think it's only like 1,000 hours that you gotta work to get the full year, as far as Social Security goes. So please look into that. You're not gonna get those little statements anymore if you were receiving them. Social Security's going all online, so you will not be getting that.
You do get it, you can go online.
Well, you can go online and get it, but before it was every year, every 5 years.
What does that mean, windfall tax? What are you talking
Okay,
about?
it's a big, long story, but I.
Well, just short version, is it a certain amount of money on
Yeah, but
your
it doesn't,
income?
In
It says-
the 1980s, President Ronald Reagan signed legislation that would cut into your funds if you did not pay into Social Security and you paid into a pension. So that's basically what it is. But the longer you work, like you said, the less amount that you are taxed.
So it's like a percentage that's,
Yes.
you're taxed
And
on
it
your
tells you on
income?
that form that
Yeah.
you'll never receive less than so much amount on it.
Right,
Okay.
now, there's an example here, I'll just do the example real quick. You're projected to get $1428 of Social Security, but you get a pension benefit. Your pension benefit is $1,000, that's why I didn't have you put in your Social Security money when we did the Orbit account. And windfall tax reduced your Social Security by $428, so that you get $1,000 from Social Security instead. So it's kind of like a mathematical formula, but you can go on the website and it teaches you all that. You
Okay.
just have to look at the boxes and stuff. But,
So it's not so much tax, it's a reduced amount they're
Yes.
actually gonna pay you?
right, and just like,
That's what
you
I
know,
was thinking. Okay, thank
and
you.
just like you can take early retirement at 62 and you'll get a lot less, or if you wait till, like, I have to wait 66 and 8 months, or do I want to wait until 70 and get the full amount? Because they can guarantee you 8% a year, where you might not find 8% anywhere else. Well, you can do what you want. Yes, sir.
Matt, the bottom line is, they penalize you because you already got a pension.
Yeah.
It's like you double dip.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why.
They stop you from
But,
that.
but I want to double
Thank you.
dip, so. But you would go right here to my Social Security, check in, get a website. Because when you turn 65, you gotta have this anyway, so just something to learn about. So we did all that. That's the end. I'm sorry it was a little bit longer than.
Oh, thank you, Ken.
I told you.
Sean, can I have this information? You did good.